Hey there, I'm Nathan Mills, and you're watching Gaming Instincts TV. When looking at the Switch Lite, it's hard not to feel taken back to the heyday of the early DS family. Despite all of the talk Nintendo has given that would lead us to believe that DSs are here to stay, the Switch Lite really does appear to be the final transition of Nintendo to one central console family. It's not all sad though. In this review, we'll take a look at some differences the Switch Lite has and its strong points and weaknesses compared to its bigger brother. If you're feeling a bit bummed about the future of the DS family too, it's important to note that for now, the DSs aren't going anywhere. An immediate difference that everyone will notice with the new Switch Lite is the vibrant new colors being offered. The original Switch had a sleek black body with the option to add a combination of many bright, even neon Joy-Con to the side. But the Switch Lite takes these fun colors to a whole new level. Currently, the Switch Lite is available in yellow, turquoise, and gray, with a light gray Pokemon edition coming soon. The turquoise and yellow Switch Lite might seem at first like their colors are a bit too loud and potentially even distracting when playing a game, but both my personal experience and the general agreement among users right now is that the colors aren't so bright as to distract from games at all. A lot of people have had positive reactions to these fun new colors from Nintendo on their major console too, as it feels like they're returning to their roots of gaming consoles having a vast array of colors and art styles. While no future colors have been announced yet, it is almost certain that if the Switch Lite does well as Nintendo wants, they'll add many more color options down the road. I personally look forward to seeing more game editions of the Switch Lite, similar to the Pokemon variant. Who knows, maybe we'll even see an Animal Crossing edition. The comfort of this console will ultimately depend on the individual preferences and hand size of whoever's playing, but for this review I'll try to keep the points fairly general. I might be in the minority here, but personally I wasn't super impressed with the handheld mode on the original Switch. Don't get me wrong, it was awesome to have the full console able to play undocked from the TV, but the Joy-Con had a little too much wiggle and the console just felt a little too big to be comfortable for long periods of use. Upon seeing the size of the Switch Lite when it was announced, I was hopeful it would remedy this problem. In our previous article about the Switch Lite, we even suggested that Nintendo Switch owners who aren't a fan of the original's handheld play might want to consider picking up a Lite. After spending a good amount of time on the console, I can definitely say that the handheld experience on the Switch Lite is much better than its bigger brother. Because the original Switch had to balance between acting as a home console and a handheld, the experience when playing undocked has always felt less refined than it could be. With the Lite, however, this isn't a problem as it's been designed from the start to be used solely as a handheld console. The smaller form factor, lighter weight, and overall sturdiness of this console makes it much easier to spend large amounts of time on. The screen obviously shrank with the console as well, but I found that after a very short time of use, I didn't notice the difference in size. I definitely wouldn't say that the screen got small enough to affect the gameplay experience of any games, except for a few times when very small text gets slightly harder to read. Overall, the Switch Lite really does feel amazing in the hands, even for extended periods of time. Again though, this does make sense seeing that the console was designed only for handheld use. Although this console is just a light version of the original Switch and carries over an almost identical control theme from the Joy-Con, there are definitely some important differences in the Switch Lite's controls to note. The major difference in controls on this console can be seen just by looking at it. There's now a real D-pad. This feature has many people interested in the Lite simply for its ability to play fighter games with a true D-pad rather than the original Switch's individual directional buttons. The D-pad does feel great, although admittedly it could be a bit larger in my opinion. The analog sticks on the Lite feel identical to the Switch, but only time will tell if they suffer from the same Joy-Con drift problem that the original Switch had. In addition to the dedicated D-pad, the A, B, X, Y, and trigger buttons on the Switch Lite all have a different feel than the original. The triggers on the Lite feel more hefty and satisfying to pull overall, while shoulder buttons feel identical to the original. The A, B, X, and Y buttons, on the other hand, seem to have a less clicky feel to them, as if they're just slightly more muted. If the triggers or A, B, X, Y buttons bothered you a lot on the original Switch, you should definitely try out the Lite. but ultimately these changes will likely not be noticed by many. Although I would consider these control changes an improvement from the original, they're definitely not enough reason on their own to buy the Switch Lite if you already have an original. If you already own a Switch and you're looking to buy the Switch Lite either as a dedicated handheld console or for your kids, you might be wondering if you have to buy all the same games over again. Luckily, Nintendo has implemented a system where you can download all of your games onto the Switch Lite and play them, but with a few qualifications. Whatever console you choose as being not your primary, in this case a Switch Lite, will only be able to play games linked to your account when you're connected to the internet and when your primary Switch is not currently playing the game. If you have the physical game card, this is no problem, but if you're planning on using the Switch Lite as a dedicated handheld console to take around with you in addition to your original Switch, this could become a problem as you would constantly need Wi-Fi connection. So now that we've covered the Switch Lite with all of its new and different features and how it stacks up in relation to its older brother, let's get into where this new console fits into Nintendo's ecosystem. The DS family started 15 years ago in 2004 and has had many evolutions in design since then. Ultimately, if you're in the US, your options right now for a DS are either the 2DS, the new 2DS XL, or the new 3DS XL. With such a long and rich history of portable successes, it might be hard to see why Nintendo would want to retire their DS family, but the launch of the original Switch shed some light on this. Almost immediately after being revealed at a live event, the Switch brought up the idea that if there were full AAA titles available to be played on the go with this new console, why did the DS family need to exist anymore? Nintendo was adamant, though, that their DS family still had a future and that the Switch was targeted at a different audience and playstyle. This made sense for the time being, as the Switch cost $300 or $100 more than the most expensive DS offering, the new 3DS XL. The quality of DS games was another indicator for the future though, as titles on Nintendo's home consoles have gotten better and better with incredible games available on the Switch. The resolution and power capabilities of even the best in the current DS family just isn't able to keep up. We've seen less and less major titles being released for the 3DS, and this makes sense as the new 3DS XL is nearing the end of its life cycle. Instead of seeing a new DS announced from Nintendo though, the Switch Lite came into the picture. With the ability to have all of their main console's games on a small handheld, there was no reason to continue the DS lineage. While the 2DS is still the cheapest option for a Nintendo console at just $80, the main offering, the new 3DS XL, is currently $200, which is the same price as the Switch Lite. By offering a fully capable Switch at $200, Nintendo is effectively signaling that the DS no longer has a needed place in their console lineup. It's very unlikely that the 2DS in particular will go anywhere very soon, but I would imagine that in the next few years, Nintendo will move on entirely from the DS family. While this is sad from the nostalgic perspective of someone who's grown up playing DSs, I can confidently say that the Switch Lite is an incredible successor. With a beautiful, large screen and the ability to play massive games like Breath of the Wild, the Switch Lite really is the best handheld option for Nintendo right now. While we knew about the Switch Lite a ways before it was announced due to some rumors and leaks, it's still a welcome addition to the Nintendo family. For only $200, the Switch Lite is fairly accessible to anyone looking to play Switch games, with the caveat that they're willing to sacrifice the ability to play on a TV. The Switch Lite takes all of the little issues the original Switch had with handheld mode and erases them, leaving you with a console that really feels like it was designed with its one purpose in mind: handheld gameplay. The fun colors to choose from and a dedicated D-pad are just icing on the cake of an already great all-around system. If you already own a Switch, the Lite could be a great option for better handheld play, or as an option if you have multiple kids. If you don't already own a Switch though, the Lite is an amazing way to get access to all of the amazing titles on the system at a heavily discounted price. Overall, the Switch Lite seems to be a sign that Nintendo is moving in a great direction when it comes to their consoles. The future of handheld gaming for Nintendo seems like it'll be pretty great, but I have to say, DS family, you will be missed. Overall, I give the Switch Lite a score of 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content from Gaming Instincts.